Hi everybody, and this is Pam, and we're going to do some watercolor today. We've been working in the Psalms, and I decided today let's try something different. I've been watching several videos, and something that I've really never done much is to make a color wheel. And I thought that would be kind of fun to see how our colors mix off your palette. So your palette's going to be different than mine. So this palette that I'm going to use today is going to be my mailing, and we're going to maybe make a couple of them, but for sure we're going to do the primary colors. Okay, so first I'm going to show you how I made my color wheel. I am not going to be super fussy. This is just for me. So I have a good old, I think they call it a compass. I made my circle. I was going to try to remember where my center was a little bit, so I remembered that, and I didn't. Okay, there I can see my dot from my center. So then I'm going to just basically, got a couple of these, we're going to just make 12 boxes. That's what you need. So we're going to draw a line halfway, and again, halfway. And like I said, you can measure, that's fine. Whatever you'd like to do. And then we're going to need a third and a third. And so whatever looks like about a third to go all the way across is one. And the other third, I'm kind of looking through my ruler saying that looks close. I'm going to do the same over here. And we're going to end up with 12 pies. All right. And then you have to pick your colors. And I am going to do, I was looking at my colors. These are all the colors painted out. And I'm going to do for the red, mine's ruby red. And these are probably the only ones I'm going to write the color down on here for now. And then I'm going to skip 3 of them. And the next one is going to be, so here's ruby, 1, 2, 3, and this is going to be my yellow, and this is cad yellow in mine. I don't have enough, yellow. It's going to go there, and then I skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to have a blue, and I'm going to go with a cobalt blue. So pick as close to what you feel your primary colors would be, your red, yellow, and blue. Okay, that's where we're going to start. And the fun of today is just seeing what comes off our palette if we had those 3 colors. I know for me, quite often, I'll just go to my color chart here if I'm going to paint something, and I'll go, I kind of like that one, and I kind of like that one. But then once in a while, I don't have the color I want. So I kind of want to see today what happens when I use 3 primary colors. I've got clean water, I've got my palette, and I'm gonna try to set this here so we all can see it closely. I put my camera a different way today. I don't know if it helps or doesn't help. I've got just, this is a number 2. I think that'll work because these are pretty small little spots. And I'm basically going to wet my yellow here, and I'm going to, I got a little sample here. I got to make sure this yellow is clean. Looks like it might have a little green in it. I don't know. It shouldn't. I usually try not to mix my colors too much, so I'm going to take a tissue here and try to blot that out a little bit because I surely don't want to get pretty yellow though, so maybe it's just a cast in there. All right, so I'm going to go pretty saturated. I'm going to put it here on my palette. I think you can see me, and I only put just a little bit of water here. Make sure you have one that you can wash your brush in between and one to keep clean. I'm going to put that one in this well because it's open. Okay, and then where the yellow is, cad yellow here, I'm going to start it pretty heavy on top. Kind of make a, I actually am going to try not to go all the way to the line because otherwise it's going to, when they mix them, they're going to end up into each other kind of. I'm going to dip into my, into my other water that's a little dirtier. You can dip into your clean water actually at this point. Rinse your brush off. Get some clean water. Not too much. Keep my tissue here. So that we can, on top of it, I just want to see what happens with this color if we go down as light as we can. Or somewhat lighter. Okay? So there's our yellow. Clean your brush off. Dry it good. And let's see. Clean water, and let's go into this. I think I said it's ruby red. And I'm not sure how red or whatever it's going to be, but that's the one we're going to use. And here's our ruby red. We want to put that here. That has a little pink tone to it. That's okay. Where's a real red? I don't know. I'll move you up a little bit here. All right, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pretty concentrated up top. And rinse it out good in your dirty water. Dry it. Get some clean water on that brush. Don't get as much as I did there, which is still fine because we just want to see what it looks like with lots of water as it comes down as well. Gives you an idea later when you do some paintings, the light to dark of your paint. All right, rinse it out really good. Dry it. Clean water. And we're going into our cobalt blue. And I have to be honest, I got to look here, make sure I get the right one. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one. This palette does not have it listed, so it's a little trickier when I go to make sure I get the right one. I don't want to grab the wrong blue. There's a lot of blue in this one. Blue, blue greens. Excuse me. A little tickle there. Trying to make this a little more saturated. I think you can see me. All right. That looks like a good primary blue. And again, saturate it. Rinse the brush. I have a towel over here in case you wonder that I'm drying it on each time. Dipping it into my, I'm going to pat some of that water off this time. And we've got our blue. Good color wheel to start. All right, now we're going to try to take equal parts of the red and the yellow. Since yellow's the lighter of the two, I'm going to take the yellow first. We're not going to have enough of a puddle here. I'm going to have to go back into my palette. Leave some in here for later. We'll start here with that yellow. Rinse your brush out good. Dry it. This time I'm just going to have you go right into your red so it's a little more saturated. Maybe dip it in your other red so you don't have it quite so thick. And we're trying to make it even parts. So you might need a little more to make it even part. And we should be, and everybody's is going to go different, this should be our orange. So that's going to go in the middle of the two. Looky there. Oops, I was going to do that light and dark, wasn't I? So I've got it saturated. I'm going to rinse the brush out good, dry it, just a little bit of water. And I just want that to fade into a lighter orange for later when I'm looking at my wheel. All right. Hope everybody still can see that. We're going to stay with this, and we're going to go to the lighter tone first. So we're going to add more yellow to that orange. Maybe kind of just stick on one side so that we won't need to use it all. And let's see what that looks like. Ooh, not really concentrated enough, I don't think. But we'll try here. And the fun part of this is it's going to be you learning. If you have to, grab a little more. This is going to be a weaker one anyway, but if you need some more yellow to help be a little more pigmented, that's okay. It's just meant to be that we see the color between the two. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing here. It's just kind of an exercise in colors. So this one to me almost has a little more reddish tone yet than this one. Almost looks a little more orange. Don't know. So now we're going to take some more of the red and mix it in this badge here. and hopefully get it a little more red than the other two. And the object is to be a darker between the two. Like the way that pigment came out better. Rinsed it, dried it, damp, and pull this down so you can see another color, or how this color would look on your page if it was wet, real wet. Okay, actually got that one a little wetter than, not near as much pigment. We probably could add a little bit to that. I'll let it bleed into there a little bit more for later. Okay, so that's the one side. Next, let's do the yellow and the blue. I'm going to have to make some fresh yellow, so I'm just going to clean this one out. Get rid of what's in there. Get some fresh water. Some more yellow. Come around. We're going to make our puddle of yellow here. Rinse the brush. And we're going to take a lot of this blue because we want it to be, as much as we can, half and half. We should be getting a really pretty green. That's what we should be getting. I think you can see there. Maybe a little more blue, I'm not sure. But, and as all of you know, green is one of those colors that I struggle to make. So let's see what green we get out of this one. If we did a second wheel, what we could try was a different blue and yellow, and you'd get to see that we would come up with a completely different green with a different tone of blue. And we may try that because green is one of my least favorite colors. But that is a very pretty green. All right, rinsing out my brush. We've got this green here, so we're going to add more yellow to it. A little bit more yet. And we're going to have that, I call it the green, yellow green. I don't know, it's very yellow. It's really not olive green. It's close to an olive green, but it's not olive green. It's more of a weak tree green. I don't know. But it complements the other green if you were doing something with greens. So now we'll take the other half of this green here and we're going to add blue. And the object is always to add more, so you got more of this blue with the yellow and the... I have no idea where this tickle's coming from today. And we're going to get a kind of a darker green, which actually a lot of times I wish I had. And I'm kind of liking that, which is nice to know because then in the future, when I'm ready to do my plants or leaves, now I know that those two colors make up three really nice looking greens. All right. So now we're going to start over one more time. Our yellow is still good, but we don't need that. We need our blue. So let's get some more blue here, pigmented. And this time we're going to take that blue and we're going to add red. And you're trying to get, again, equal parts of the blue and the red. That to me looks like it's more red. We're going to add a little more blue in there. Because the color you should be getting is a violet. It's where you get your purple. And there's our purple. I'll make it go down a little bit more because I like it. I'll rinse the brush out. A little water on there. Not that much. I just lost all my purple. I'll just put some more purple here and pull it down, and we're going to run out of purple up here, I know, but I kind of want to keep that darker color if I can for future. So, all right. So now in this purple, which is a little bit more watered down than I like, I'm going to grab this red and throw it in here to get our purple again. And this time we're going to put more red in here. A lot of red. Because it's supposed to be more red than it is blue. And we're going to get our maroon color, I call it, but kind of a purple, a purpley red. I have a lot of things that I think that'd be a cool color to paint. It's a pretty color in my book. It's not really a rose, but I'm just going to put a little more saturated here for my wheel for later. Trying to make that half and half. And last but not least, we got enough red over there that we're going to add. I've got plenty of blue on my palette. We're going to add some blue. And then we're going to rinse my brush out one more time and get a little more blue. Because I want this more blue than red. And this will make a deep violet. I almost would like to see this a little bluer myself. This one could have almost been our purple in a way, but because I want to see it bluer, I'm going to add some more blue. There might have been more paint there than not. But that tells you how hard it is sometimes to mix the ratio. Now I see the blue purple. Call that blueberry right here. And there is your color wheel. Okay. Now I'm going to do something that's kind of different than making a color wheel. Okay, I'm going to take this same one that I drew it here, and we're going to do some complementary colors. I don't know if that's what they call them, no idea. But if I was going to paint, for instance, a cherry, and I wanted to give it some shade, I would take the cherry's going to be my red, and I would put my undertones in the green. So what I want to do, let's just take a blank piece here for fun. Okay, we're going to take our primary color red, which we have to go back and get some on our palette here. All right, so here's our red. Pretty saturated, but that's okay. Okay, that would be a good cherry. I cleaned my brush off real well, and now I'm going to go to the green that we had made, which I don't know if we've got much made here. We're going to have to kind of mix some up a minute. And that was made with our yellow and blue. So we'll grab some more blue, and we'll grab some more yellow. In between, I'm washing my brush, so you know I'm getting into my palette. I want to get that green we had before. And needless to say, we haven't got it here yet. Still got too much yellow. This is kind of the experiment of showing you how hard sometimes it is to get back to the color you were looking at. So when I'm looking at my green here in the middle, ooh, dropped my pen. I don't think I'm close to it yet. Let's just put it on some paper here. Well, actually, it's pretty good. That's pretty good green. So we're going to take that green, and we're going to put that green under here. And we're going to come back and paint the red over top of it to see how it would shade. We're going to let it dry. We're going to do another we're going to go another one across just because it's fun. Let's do the blue and the orange. I'm going to grab some blue red out of my palette. This one's a little more watered down. My paints are a little more watered with the blue than the red. And I think we might have some orange left back here. We can for sure get some because I've got plenty of that here. We'll make sure it looks like our orange. I would say that's pretty close to that orange. We're going to use that. We're going to put that here. So let's say that a good one would be, let's do a bluebird, okay? Or a blueberry. You could do that one. It's another one that you could. So let's go back up here. And remember, we've got that green here. We're going to take some of that red and we're going to just paint it over top of the green. And I'm going to go right next to it with some more red so we can see it. Now, not sure if you can see it as well as I can see it, but I definitely can see that if I was painting something, that if I went and did all my shading in that green would be a good shade color. A good example would be the cherry, but let's say I'm going to do a snowman. I'm just going to pretend that snowman's not good. He's white. Let's do a cherry. Let's make a cherry. So instead, we're going to take this green that we did before, and we're going to put that on the bottom half because the cherry would have shading on the bottom. In fact, we could probably even put a little bit like so, because it's going to... Yeah, no, I don't want that. Let's make it one big, make it just the green for the shade. I want to shade it with something else later. All right, so we're going to let that kind of dry, set it over to the side. Let's see what color we get on this orange. When we come back with our blue straight out of my palette here, because it was pretty watered down. And you would see how that one's not as, maybe the orange is too heavy, or maybe the blue is too thin. But if I put it a little more pigmented, you can see how this gives you the shade color. And that's what I'm trying to show you. That sometimes you can do some of your shading with a different color instead of coming over 2 layers. So what I mean is, here's my cherry, all red. And I think if you had done the cherry video, you would have seen the same thing. We could have done it that way, but this is just another one looking at the color wheel to help you know what colors you can go and complement to do some shading. It's just another way of shading. And now let's get that red back here and make our cherry. And you're going to see that automatically, I can see it, you may not, but it's going to be darker along the bottom because that's where the green was. We could also come back in, I believe, and put the green over top and we'd get another shade. Now make sure your brush is dry, and you could do some dry shading. Because this is wet, we're going to be picking up a lot of pigment, okay? But if we did this and now we let it dry, we can glaze over top of that with the red again. This is the other cherry. It's going to be really hard without me drying it in between, but this one, you could have just done your shading with the same color, which is probably the way I do it the most, in a dry brush. And this way you blend the harsh colors in to get a softer tone. This one, I can see the green coming through, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do it because in order to glaze properly, it really needs to be dry. But we're going to just put some on here and see once what happens. If it's wet enough, it might not hurt me too badly. But we're going to be able to see the dark here and the dark there. Now, to me, you don't see it as much, but you could come by with your brush dry and pick up some of that color at some point to get a highlight as well. I'm hoping that's coming through good for you. It's just some ideas on how to get some highlights without making them too harsh, shading with different colors. It's more than anything just to see different ways to mix your colors. or just to see what colors your palette would look like. You could even do it with all the colors like they did here, and you'd be able to see. This one here is going to be mixing the colors. So you kind of, if you're looking to find a green, you now know that this yellow and this blue is going to give you this green. You could do a complete another wheel. I'm trying to see how long we've been on here. I'm not sure. And let's go with something off. Let's do a pink. All right, for our main color. And I'm not going to do the whole wheel, but if I took the pink and if you take that red, okay, and we mix it with that yellow, which we'll bring over here, we're going to get a way different color. This is the pink and the yellow together. So now look at your oranges. You get a little peach here because of the pink. Another great idea if you've got more than one. So in case like this one, you could probably say you're running out of one color. You could go and take a darker, your red, your rose, and do the same idea to come up with a palette for your picture that you want to paint. So this is giving you a color. And if I added even more yellow to that red and pinky, I'm going to get even lighter, which I think is really a pretty color. And you get a whole new set of colors. Let's see, we got to do one more, don't we? We have to do, because that was one. Here, we'll do one with hardly any, with just a little bit of yellow. And then we'll put the yellow next to it. And here is the difference of the two palettes. See, it's a pinker shade, another shade. So depending on what colors you're looking for when you're doing your painting, it's maybe a wise choice to pick your primary colors and make your colors if you don't see a color on your palette that you like. So that's today's fun of just playing around and mixing colors. Hope you had a great day and enjoyed the color wheel and colors that your palette can make.